Hello there, everybody, and welcome back to WOOF Wednesdays. This is the second episode that we've done of Wednesdays in a little different location, so the camera quality might be off a little bit. But with that being said, let's get right into things here with UW Athletics. Have a little spring ball recap for you. First, we'll go over the players that did not participate too much. A lot of these guys are running back, so it will really speak to the running back situation when we get to that room. The players that did not participate much in spring camp include running backs Richard Newton, Cam Davis, and Omeka Megwa, offensive lineman Miles Morrow, defensive lineman Fa'atu Tuitili. I'll get that right eventually. My apologies on that. Linebacker Edafon Ulafoshio, all guys that did not participate much in spring ball. So that's notable to kind of see where their progress is, when we get back to this thing in August. Heading over to the quarterback situation, amongst the guys in Penix Jr., Dylan Morris, and Sam Heward. Penix Jr. was the guy who seems the most like he'll be named the starter, but Dylan Morris had a really solid camp and could push everybody else in that room. So it seemed like Sam Hurd is battling and is getting better, but he's not quite there yet. And it seems like Dylan Morris himself won't be going anywhere anytime soon. But Penix Jr., the guy that is the transfer in from Indiana, a guy who has seen some time with Kalen DeBoer. Really seems like he knew the offense well, was able to run the offense well, was able to run with the first team guys really well. And I apologize for the national anthem going on in the background because we're, again, in a different location today. But it seems like Penix Jr. is going to be the guy this year, and it'll take another year for Sam Heward to really take the reins next season. But who knows? Maybe he'll surprise and maybe he'll show up and make that surprise once fall comes around. The running back situation, as I said, it's bad. There were not enough backs available really for spring. It was mostly Aaron Dumas and JV on Sunday. Sunday's improved, but the guy who seemed like the clear starter, Dumas, was the guy essentially by default because of all those injuries to a Richard Newton, to an Omeka Megwa, to a Cam Davis. It was basically Dumas and Sunday and a sermon from the quarterback room had to come in and play running back because of that, how few bodies there were, and he got injured doing so. So that, it's a really difficult situation at the running back, at least for spring ball. Sunday has improved, as I mentioned, but he needs to really continue to develop his out of the backfield ability as a receiver, as a patch catcher. And that, could really help this offense going forward. But again, we'll have to see that when it comes back in August. In the wide receiver room, it seemed like Roma Dunze and Jalen McMillan continued to impress, and it looks like UW will really have some solid depth in that wide receiver room. Junior Alexander, Wanyata Alexander Jr., whatever is best, as well as Giles Jackson, both made their presence felt. I know that Giles Jackson seemed like a guy who was strictly going to be a returner, but really was able to make an impact and make some nice plays, and really seemed like he worked on a lot as a actual wide receiver. In the tight end room, Devin Culp seemed to impress, and it seemed like he's primed to make up for the loss of now Tampa Bay Buccaneers tight end Cade Otton, which is obviously those are big holes, big shoes to fill, but Culp has made a lot of strides as a receiver and could really help add another element to this offense. Jake Westover joins the tight end room after previously being listed as a fullback last year, so gives Culp and Westover seems like the 1-2 guys there for UW. At the O-line situation, Nate Caleppo earns a left guard spot. Garen Hatchett and Troy Fa'atuanu will surely get some starting reps at potentially several spots on the line. Both of those guys were raved in terms of their sort of versatility all around the line. And there's a certain guy at offensive tackle who has a spot. We'll get to that as we continue with the team-related news. But continuing with the spring cap, we head over to the defensive side of the ball with the D-line. The D-line situation, Tuli Letulegan Sanoa seems to be the leader on this line and potentially most valuable to the success of UW on defensive line. Kuau Pihopa seems to be Tuli's running mate, sticking by him in most of the first-team reps and really being a guy that was able to get Tuli some open lanes to get in there and help clog running lanes. Those two were really kind of side by side all camp. Ulumu Ali, a former offensive lineman, made some noise in a new spot on the defensive line. Still not quite there in terms of, I guess, being a reliable guy that they're going to fit into the rotation, but certainly made an impact on the coaches and impressed some people as well. On the edge, Ziya Tupuola-Fetui continues to be the most important piece in this room. His return to form could really be huge for the Huskies. I know in the beginning of the camp was kind of taking some backup snaps, but through camp as it progressed, was really able to get back to sort of a starter role. Braylon Trice may be a sort of sleeper on the edge position, getting lots of positive talk. I know that his potential has been talked up as being the next Joe Tryon, and that sort of potential was tapped into and seen in spring ball. Jeremiah Martin, I know his career in college has not quite lived up to what some people might have thought it would have been, but he got a lot of reps on the first team, and there have been some positive talk about him. I know I keep saying positive talk, and the coaches can continue to type up these guys, but it seems like there's some good movement here coming out of camp for UW. At the linebacker position, Cam Bright showed out as the leader of the group, even if he is a new addition from Pitt via transfer. Really a guy that has taken the leadership reins and I think will make a lot of noise on this defense. Carson Bruner continues to impress following his year last year, and Alfonso Tupuola has also impressed, earning some solid starting time. So it really seems like the linebacker room could be one of the deepest on the roster for the Huskies. At cornerback, O'Day alum and a friend of mine, Mish Powell, continues to impress, getting good reviews from the cornerback room and the wide receiver room. So it seems like, with Trent McDuffie gone, with Kyler Gordon out of that room, Mish Powell is the next guy in line at the cornerback position for the Washington Huskies. Devon Banks nabbed the most interceptions of camp, and transfer Jordan Perriman continues to impress as well. It seems like Perriman and Powell will be the guys on the 1 and 2 spots at the cornerback position. Safety, Asa Turner seems like he has finally turned that corner. Finally turned the corner as a safety, and could have a big year. I know that his leadership was kind of praised as well. Alex Cook, now the veteran of this group, continues to impress as well, capping off his spring ball with an interception. In terms of special teams, Peyton Henry picks up right where he left off. So it seems like the place kicker role is marked off. Addison Schrock seemed to have a good camp behind Peyton Henry, but it doesn't seem like his impact will be needed this season with Henry. Obviously, there are injuries and certain circumstances could happen, so maybe, but I would doubt it for the time being. Both Jack McAllister and Kevin Ryan were getting reps at punter, one right-footed, one left-footed, and maybe used in a situational platoon. That would be really interesting to see. And we'll just have to see as the team looks to replace Race Porter and the impact he had as one of the best punters in the country. So that's kind of the wrap up for the spring ball side of things. UW was also able to offer somebody. UW offers Ziya Hunter. He's a 2023 grad and a two-way athlete, listed in as 6'2", 190 pounds. Was told by the university that he would be a good fit in the program on the defensive side of the ball. So obviously being a two-way athlete, that always draws some interest. It'll be unique to see where he may be fit into this Husky defense when he joins the university. A 3-star linebacker commits to UW. Devon Bryant commits to the university out of St. John Bosco down in Bellflower, California. He is also a 2023 grad holding offers from Colorado, Fresno State, Louisville, and Nevada. And then so the biggest news here with UW football mostly is that offensive tackle Jackson Kirkland will be returning to Washington for the 2022 season. He had been waiting on the NCAA to accept his letter of return, waiting kind of in a holding pattern, so to say, so that the university and him could know about his decision if he'd be able to come back or not, citing an injury. So UW gets a big impact back with Kirkland. Could be a potential first-round pick next year, depending on his play this year, but he will have a massive impact on the success of that offensive line and probably of the offense as a whole. I apologize if I keep looking down. The NHL draft lottery is taking place right now, so we're keeping an eye on that. They're going pretty quick. In terms of pro dogs, the Falcons will decline right tackle Caleb McGarry's fifth-year option, so not the best news when it comes to pro dogs there. In terms of college football news, an ASU player was charged with a DUI. Police charged Sun Devils football player Stanley Lambert with a DUI after a pedestrian was struck by a car and later died from her injuries. So obviously very unfortunate there. Prayers, thoughts, and hopefully some sort of resolution come to the loss of that family who lost that woman there. Tough to continue that up after tragedy. But we will head over to UW baseball here. May 6th versus number 8 UCLA as the Huskies began a 3-game series with the number 8 ranked team in the country. Wow, the Seattle Kraken get the 4th pick in the NHL draft. That's not bad. Anyway, May 6th versus number 8 UCLA, winning that game 7-1. Player of the game number 1, third baseman Michael Snyder, going 2 for 3 with 2 runs and 4 RBIs while hitting a home run. That's a solid opening game performance against the number 8 team in the country. And then player of the game number 2, Jared Engman, going 7 innings, 4 hits allowed, 1 earned run. That run was not earned. 1 walk, 6 strikeouts, and 26 batters faced. May 7th versus number 8 UCLA, a 5-4 win, securing the series win over UCLA, which has already been on its own after following the last week's series win over number 6 Stanford. Huge to do that against the number 8 team in the country. Player of the game catcher Johnny Tincher going 1 for 3 with 1 run and 2 RBIs. And then May 8th versus number 8 UCLA, a 4-3 win. Player of the game shortstop Cam Clayton going 1 for 5 with 1 RBI. A walk-off single in the bottom of the ninth is the reason that we select Cam Clayton for that Player of the Game award. And UW gets the sweep over the number 8 team in the country, which is insane to think about. Last week, we kind of talked about, hey, is UW baseball turning the corner after the series win over number 6 Stanford? They sweep the number 8 team in the country in UCLA. It's a conference team. So they moved up 1 spot in conference ranking, but it's huge. That is incredible to think about. They're able to pull that together. Engman, solid start in the May 6th game. Michael Snyder coming up big in that game. It was wild, and it looks like a team effort, obviously, because there's not somebody that in the player of the game slot I tell you, oh, it's this guy again and again and again. No, it was a real team effort to see that, and that was pretty cool to see. So UW record now sits at 21-24. They are 10th in the Pac-12. Their upcoming schedule looks like this. May 10th versus Seattle U, a 6:05 p.m. Pacific time kickoff. That is, by the time you're watching this, that is yesterday. May 13th through 15th at USC. May 13th at 7 o'clock. May 14th at 1 p.m. and May 15th at 12 p.m. Pacific time. So with that being said, we now switch over to softball. UW softball taking on Utah on their final road trip of the regular season. Not the best road trip. May 6th at Utah, they would lose that game 2-5. Unfortunate to come in on a nice win streak. You would play well against conference opponents, and then you come in against an unranked team in Utah and you lose that game. Player of the game, right fielder Matty Husky going 1 for 3 with 1 run and 2 RBIs there. Like I said, really frustrating. And then, okay, let's go and win the next game and get the series. No, you lose the May 7th game at Utah 3-4. Try to come back, not able to do so. As I believe, actually, Utah walked it off with a run in the 7th inning. But player of the game for this one, it's kind of tough. Let's go with catcher Jen Cummings, 1 for 3 with a run and 1 RBI. Just frustrating, though, for the Huskies. Obviously, to come in with, some momentum, you think, hey, you come off some great conference play. Obviously, Utah Valley, I won't scoff at them, but, you sweep Stanford, number 21 ranked team in the country. You sweep Oregon, the number 19th ranked team in the country. You sweep Oregon State, the number 19th. Before then, you're like, oh, we're on this great win streak. And then Utah comes and mucks things up. Obviously, against Utah on May 8th, you're able to get the 5-1 win. But again, to lose the series to Utah and an unranked opponent right as you're getting towards the end of the year is got to be frustrating. But we go over to player of the game here, shortstop Bailey Klingler. Klingler filling in at shortstop for the day, going 1 for 2 with 1 run, 2 RBIs, and 1 walk on the day. Just frustrating, But with that being said, they've got a new test next week against a pretty damn good team. So we'll continue with team-related news. On May 4th, we had some big news here as Gabby Plano was drafted to Athletes Unlimited. Plano was selected in the AU Collegiate Softball Draft, one of 13 NCAA student-athletes selected. The 2021 Pac-12 Pitcher of the Year, 3-time All-American, 3-time Pac-12 First-Team honoree, and finalist for USA Softball's Collegiate Player of the Year award in 2021 will play in AU next season. I think this upcoming season, actually, once she's done at UW. She is the second Husky in program history to hit 1,000 strikeouts. the 1,000 strikeout mark. Fourth Husky with 100 plus career wins, a career ERA of 1.49, 80 complete games, and 4 shutouts. Former Huskies Sis Bates, Courtney Gano, and Victoria Hayward will all play in AU next season with plans. So 4 Huskies, some great representation there in AU. Then also on the 4th, it was announced that infielder Bailey Klingler was named a top 10 finalist for the USA Softball Player of the Year award. It is the second consecutive year that Klingler has been in the final 10. Plain and Sis Bates were among the finalists last year as well. Klingler leads the Pac-12 in batting average at 450. This was on May 4th. These stats were home runs at 21, RBIs at 63, RBIs per game at 1.43, slugging at 1.014, and ranks at the top 10 in the NCAA amongst all these categories. Holds a .943 fielding percentage. The top 3 finalists will be announced on May 18th, and the winner of the award will be announced prior to the Women's College World Series. So some great honors there for some great Huskies that lead the way for this Husky team. With that being said, UW, I believe, ranks in at number 10 right now. They should be 10th or 9th, but with the series loss to Utah, I imagine that might drop. They sit at a 34-13 record, 3rd in the Pac-12, and they will take on the number 4 team in the country, Arizona State. Through 14th. May 12th is a 7 p.m. start. May 13th is a 5 p.m. start. And May 14th is a 1 o'clock start. Arizona State's number 1 in the Pac-12 with an 18-3 conference record, a 37-8 overall record. And as I mentioned, the number 4 team in the country. It doesn't get more daunting than that to end the regular season for Washington. And then to wrap it up here, soccer, we only got one thing. On May 7th, Ryan Saylor, in his rookie year in the MLS, makes his pro debut for Inter Miami, recording a 6.5 rating in 90 minutes with 1 shot, a 75% pack accuracy, 2 blocks, and 9 clearances. So congratulations to Ryan, and continued success to him with Miami. So with that being said, I got to get out of here. But I hope you've enjoyed another episode of WOOF Wednesdays. If there's anything I missed, please feel free to fill us in the comments. Otherwise, we'll see you next week. And go Dogs.